Today's guest is Kate Livis. She is the president of Livis Consulting, which is a small women-owned business specializing in IT consulting, agile management, and IT staffing. Kate and I go back, 20 years, a little over 20 years actually, when we were both worked at a very small company in the DoD contracting space. And I had the joy of, I think it was your first job. And so that was a great joy. And it's so good to see you. And thank you for joining me on the podcast.
Thank you so much, Jeremy. It's a pleasure to see you again. I love working with you, and I'm so glad we stayed in touch throughout the years.
So Kate, for those who haven't met you, got to know you, talk about where you're from, who you are, and what you do.
So my name is Kate Livis. I am a president of Livis Consulting. This is a small woman-owned firm. We specialize in pretty much everything IT. We specialize in cloud migration, in software development, DevOps, and IT training. I started my company in 2013, first as a shop of just one person. And slowly but surely, I have expanded, and now I have 15 people.
Wow. Wow. Well, let's roll the clock back a little. Talk about, so I happen to know you're from Ukraine.
Mhm.
So how was growing up in Ukraine, and did you know what you wanted to do for a career?
Well, when I was growing up, I wanted to be a detective, actually. So
Ah,
when I was 15 years old, me and my friend and I, we wanted to open a detective agency. So we started spying on our neighbor, and eventually he caught us and he complained to our parents. So my detective career was over right there and then. So when my parents told me that I need to probably plan on doing something a little bit more productive, more revenue generating, so they kind of put me on a path of software development. I guess because it was a very popular field, I could make a good living while doing it. But I also love everything logical. I love logic puzzles. I subscribe to Dell Logic Puzzles. They send me magazines every 3 months. I love anything with like logic. I love logic board games like Catan. I see that you have behind your desk. Um, so I thought that this is software development is going to be a great thing for me. Although I grew up, I got my first computer when I was 16 years old. So I wasn't an early adopter of technology. I know many kids today they're given an iPad once they can hold something, but I did not come to technology early. At first, when I got my first computer, I didn't even know what to do with this, just because technology was not part of my childhood or teenagehood. But once I started taking courses on software development, I loved it just because it's so logical. It's essentially like solving a logic puzzle and getting paid for it. So once I started learning, I really, really fell in love with IT and software development. And another dream of mine was to own my own business. In Ukraine, well, in Soviet Union, private entrepreneurship was prohibited. So I don't have any business people in my family. And I am the first businesswoman in my family, and that makes me actually very proud of myself because this is something that I can do for myself. I can pass a business to my children. That's my big hope to teach them to run their own business, and if they choose so, to help them become more successful entrepreneurs. And also, I can help other people because entrepreneurs they create jobs essentially.
wow. That's yeah, I love that. Now, how did you decide, or what brought you to the United States?
Well, my mom, she is also a software developer. She got a job here.
Huh.
We came here in 1998. Back then there was something called Y2K bug. So you know what I'm talking about, right? So they needed software developers to help fix those bugs. And my mom, back then she was a mainframe developer. Now she's a cloud C# developer, just like myself. But back then she was working on mainframe. So they hired her to come here, and she brought me and my father and my sister. And her job sponsored us for a green card. I got my green card 1 month before I turned 21. So I got very lucky since I did not have to go through H-1B debacle and look for a sponsor. I got the green card once I turned 21, and I was all set. But I love the United States. The moment I landed, well, I came here when I was 15 years old. I came for a visit. My mom's friend, she lived in Atlanta, so she had a daughter my age. So I stayed with them for a month, and when it was time to leave, I was almost crying. And I remember I looked out of the plane, and I promised to myself that I will come and live here one day. I mean, I pretty much loved everything. I loved how sweet people were, how much they smile, how happy they are. I love the houses because I lived in an apartment, and they lived in a single family home. When I first arrived, I looked at the house. I was like, it's like a palace. And now I realize it was a very nice home, but it was an average home. But to me, it looked like a palace fit for queens and kings.
Wow, that's so amazing. So, which school did you end up deciding to go to?
George Mason.
So that brought you to the DC area, or was your mother already here in the DC area?
She was already here, so I was looking at colleges locally. But I like George Mason because it is they had a very good computer science program. And now, I mean, I actually graduated from George Mason with an MBA after getting my computer science degree. And the school has been developing, and they have been building. It has been growing, and now their IT department offers even more disciplines. Like they have software development, they have artificial intelligence, they have networking. They have so many programs, and it's a very good school. I also like that it's so close to DC, and I was hoping to get internships. I didn't want to be studying in the middle of nowhere, so to speak, just because it's harder to get internships, harder to get jobs.
Yeah.
And because of the proximity to DC area, many of my classmates found good internships and good jobs, and we actually helped each other. We recommended each other, and that taught me the importance of networking in building careers. So from early on, I saw how important it is to network with the right people, stay in touch with the right people, and stay close to the source of money.
That's so true. That's so true. And I remember, I think when we hired you at Avantech, that was right after your bachelor's degree, I believe, and you were still working on your master's. Is that correct?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. And I only remember that because even though I got a computer science degree eventually, actually, I got my degree after you. Uh, I stink at math, and you scared the living daylights out of me because you are so good at math, like fuzzy math. You were taking classes there was no way I was ever going to understand. And I was just so glad that there was somebody who could do that, and I could just focus on business process improvement.
Thank you. Yeah, I love math. I love logic. I love how logical math is. I mean, it gives you certainty because in math, there's only one right answer. There's no maybes and ifs because I'm the kind of person who always questions everything.
Mm.
But in math, there's one right answer and that's it. There's no place for doubt.
That's so true. That's so true. So as you were doing a variety of jobs, I know you did a few before you started your own company. What was kind of your criteria for choosing where to go?
Ability to learn something new. Responsibility. I was looking to get more responsibility. I was looking for challenging projects. I remember I had a conversation with one of my coworkers, and I said that I like big, complicated projects. And they laughed at me. They were older. They said, I love small, easy projects that pay well. But I always like the challenge. And I knew that you grow by taking on challenges. I love feeling uncomfortable because when you feel uncomfortable, that's when you're learning essentially. That's how you are growing. These are growth pains. So I always look for opportunity where I can meet interesting people and learn something new. And I always wanted to make a difference. I didn't want to just be a number. I wanted my work to matter.
That's so good. So then I mean, you said you always wanted to be own your own business. What brought about that opportunity?
Well, I started working as a software developer for ECS, and then I became an independent consultant. I was working for them, and I was not even thinking about starting my business. But then one of the people from the legal department approached me, and they said, "Look, we can't have you as an independent consultant due to IRS tax regulations." Because we have control over your day-to-day work. So you either need to be a permanent employee or open your own business and then subcontract to us. And this is how it all started. I said, I will open my own business. And I opened my own business and I became a subcontractor. And the project that I was working on, I still am working on, it's called Cordis. So once there was a rebid, I partnered up with ECS and with other companies, and we bid on this project and we won. And then I got an opportunity to bring the people to the team.
Wow. That's a great story. I mean, that's a challenge, right? When you're starting your business, there are a lot of people who don't make it past the one, two, three, four, five employees, right? You said you're at 15 now. There are a lot of people's companies who don't make it that far. You got to figure out how to team. They got to figure out how to partner. How do you divide the work? How do you make sure it's, compensation is fair for everybody in that team? But it seems like you found a way to make that work, and you had a good partner.
Yes, I was lucky. I definitely was lucky. I guess whenever you start a business, one a very successful business person, he told me, hard work plays a role, being smart plays a role, but luck also plays a role. And I was at the right place in the right place at the right time,
Yeah.
and I took
Oh,
advantage of it.
oh, I could say so many things like that about my own career. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Mhm.
So when you look back over your career, Kate, what's something or more than one something that you go, man, I wish it wasn't done that way. I wish we could change that. It would be better for others. And I'm going to caveat to say, we're not saying it's a problem necessarily, although it might be a problem. We're not saying we could solve it either. We just want to highlight it, bring it to people's attention. So what's one or more things looking back that you go, man, I wish people would think about that.
I guess in our industry, I wish people would get more opportunity for training, especially
Mm,
younger people. So in Agile, we are there is an idea of IP sprint where developers and technical people they once in a while at the end of 2 or 3 sprints they get a week or two in order to develop their skills, take courses related to the project, or maybe attend a conference or do something for their own development. But it also benefits employers
mm,
because they get more educated workforce. People learn new skills, they bring new technology because very often people get complacent. They work with the same technology year after year and they say, well, the project is working, the customer is happy, let's just not touch anything. But then when you send people to training, they come back with new ideas and they say, well, we're doing this and it kind of works, but it can work faster or look much better. And here's a prototype. And you get it basically at a very, very low cost. Because training doesn't cost much in the larger scheme of things. And you get happier employees because people see that you care about their advancement. They see that you care about their careers and you're willing to invest in them, so they are willing to invest back in your business.
mm. That's a big one. So, I mean, I'm going to ask you a question in that respect. Is that something that you get your clients to understand? Because, most clients are like, okay, let's move to the next sprint. Let's move to the next sprint, cram all the things in there. They want more than you can do in a sprint. How do you get them to let you take a break for somebody so that they could get some of that training?
I am extremely lucky, and my customer does understand that, and they essentially agreed and accepted this. This is what we're doing on my project right now. But the way to get the customer to basically to understand, there is an analogy of a restaurant and cleaning the kitchen. When you're at
Mm,
a restaurant, you don't see the kitchen when you're a customer, right? but you want to make sure that your kitchen is clean, because if you don't take the time to clean the kitchen, bad things are going to happen. And your experience as a customer is going to be affected. So you need to essentially invest in your infrastructure, in your employees, and in their education, because otherwise, if your employees are not educated, if they are not advancing their skills, then it's going to affect the project, especially in the world of IT, because technology is changing all the time. And once your people get behind on their skills, then your project gets behind, because your project is only going to be as developed as your people.
Mm.
And somebody, I don't remember who, I think it was one of the managers in Microsoft. He said, he was asked a question. They said, somebody asked him, well, what if we train our people and they leave? And he replied, what if we don't train them and they stay? That's much worse.
Right. That's a great quote. Yes, I think I've heard that around the block. Yeah, I like that idea. And I love your analogy of the kitchen. I mean, the same thing goes for legacy code, right? If you don't clean your kitchen, you don't update your kitchen, you can't be more efficient. But I like that. I'm gonna have to use that. I'm gonna borrow that for sure when I talk about why training is important, because it is so hard sometimes to get employers and or the clients to understand that there needs to be a pause occasionally for that sort of thing, and that it's worthwhile for them to go and refresh their skills. And like you said, I like you point out, right? There's new things to learn. This is not a static technology is not a static field. It's always changing, and there could be a better way to do something. Even if it's not like refactoring the old code right away, but even refactoring our thought patterns for what we were getting ready to do for you.
Agreed.
So, what's coming up for you here in the future? I mean, you've been your company's going along well with it's been around for 12-ish years now. Is there anything coming up for you?
So I am planning to apply for government contracts. I am working on proposals. Right now, I'm also in the recruiting mode, trying to bring good people on the projects that I'm working on. And essentially, what I see in my future is growth. My hope is that in next 10 years, I will grow from 15 people to 50 or maybe 100 people. I always wanted an office with my name on it, like with a big, big sign. So my hope is to grow to the point where I will have a building, an office building full of people. Well,
Wow.
at least like one office.
No, multinational,
Yeah.
everywhere in the world. Big, big business.
Mhm.
Well, Kate, I want to thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It's always great to catch up with you and hear how things are going. And I just love what you're doing with your company and can't wait to see it grow like you're planning.
Thank you so much.